All right, guys, we are at Samsung booth at CES 2018. We're going to take a look at the coolest stuff, the stuff that's all right, and the stuff that is kind of dumb in my opinion. But either way, some of the dumb stuff might be cool in its own way. So there's a lot to see. Let's not waste any more time and get to it. All right, so this is clearly the most popular section of the Samsung booth. We can't really get close, but we'll put in footage over this so you can actually see it. This is called the Wall, and this is the new micro LED, so-called micro LED TV by Samsung. This is a 146-inch TV, and I don't think they specified the exact resolution, but it's probably either 4K or 8K. And apparently this will be available in 2018. And this is basically Samsung's answer to OLED by LG. And it's very similar technology to OLED, although it's a little bit different. The idea is the same, where each individual pixel is lit by itself. So there's no backlight or anything. You get the RGB subpixels, and those provide its own light. So you're going to get the same exact perfect black levels that you would get with OLED, although the main difference is that this uses a different material. It's not organic. So OLED is organic LED, whereas micro LED uses a non-organic material called gallium nitride, believe it or not, if you want to know the science behind it. And the benefit of this is the non-organic material is not going to degrade like the organic material would, or at least not nearly as close to as fast. So the benefits of that there are several. First of all, one of the big issues with OLED is that a lot of the subpixels degrade. They degrade in the first place, and then they degrade at different rates. So the red subpixel might degrade faster than the blue one, which means that over time, there's going to be a color shift, which means the colors are going to get less accurate over time, which means especially it's not great for computers where you're using it a lot more often than a TV. So I'm pretty excited about what this is going to look like for computers, where it pretty much solves all the issues that we have with OLED. And also, another issue with OLED is burn-in, of course. So apparently this doesn't have that issue, or not nearly as much. Also, Samsung is saying that the micro LEDs can get brighter, potentially up to 2,000 nits than OLED. We know that again, is one of the downsides of OLED. Yeah, you get those perfect black levels, but you don't necessarily get as bright as you would get with LED or LCD. So it seems like, based on what they're saying, that this micro LED is better than OLED in almost every way. So if all that is true, that is actually really exciting. Another thing that's interesting is they're calling it modular. What they're saying is that OLED, the way it's manufactured, it's restrictive in how many shapes and sizes it can be manufactured in, and this doesn't have that problem. Again, it seems like almost too good to be true, but we'll have to see. One thing I would definitely be interested to know about is the refresh rate. If it's like OLED, you could potentially get extremely high refresh rates, which would be amazing for computer monitors. We could start to see gaming monitors that are 1,000 hertz plus with amazing color representation, and that will literally be better than any monitor on the market in every way. You might be wondering, what is the downside of this? And it seems like the only one right now is the price, because it's supposedly really difficult to manufacture. As for the pricing, what they said is the price will be consistent with modern technologies as they're introduced. So that's some genius level rhetoric right there. But basically, I'd be surprised if this is anything less than 50K when it comes out. And of course, this is brand new. And I think this will be the de facto best TV if they can get it out and manufacture in a way where it would be available for the mass market. All right, so behind me is an interesting one. This is the Samsung Flip board, and it's a giant screen. You can draw on it. At the press conference you saw, they can connect to your phone. You can basically stream live between your phone back and forth, either control your phone with the representative image on the board or the other way around. And you can, say, take a PowerPoint presentation. You want to edit it a little bit. You draw something on it. You can do that right from the board, send it. So it's basically just an easy way to collaborate with people who are standing around without maybe hunching over a monitor or something like that. You can see they just turned it, and it looks like it's running Windows 10, so it's not like it's some sort of mobile. It's not Windows 10? Okay, so I was just corrected. It's not running Windows 10. It's actually mirroring another computer that is running Windows 10. Okay, so here's one interesting use case that I was just told about. So imagine you're in a conference room, you have a ton of people who are all around, they've all done whatever work they've done, and they have it on their mobile devices, and they don't really have a way that they can show everyone else. So what you could do with this is everyone could potentially put their images of their phones, the work they've done, their files onto this board. It can be interacted with, annotated, modified with everyone else's consensus right in front of them. So overall, I think it's a pretty good thing, especially in a business use case, and we'll have to see how this gets used. Now, behind me are smart fridges by Samsung, which they seem to be putting a disproportionate amount of focus on in terms of smart home devices like appliances. And you can see that they have a screen on it, and it seems like they kind of want to make things like the fridges a smart home hub of some kind. And if you've seen my previous videos, you kind of know how I feel about them. I think they're incredibly stupid. But the idea is you play music from the fridge, you would turn on the lights, control your home from the fridge, and do everything from the fridge, which I don't think is realistic. I mean, it's neat to have just information displayed on it, but I've never really seen the point. Yeah, why do you need Twitter on your fridge, right? Maybe I'm not the target demographic here, but so yeah, I'm not really even sure what else to say about it. I don't see the point. Behind me here is a whole presentation about Samsung SmartThings. Now, you know I am a big fan about smart home devices like Philips Hue and different automation technologies, and Samsung SmartThings is basically an entire collection of little IoT devices that do different stuff. So they have a whole wall. And they also partnered with ADT, a security company. So the idea is not just do you get convenience, but now you can have security products. You can see here they have integration with Google Home. They have different Philips Hue bulbs. They have some motion sensors and sirens like those presumably from ADT. Looks like a thermostat up there. So they have tons of different stuff that you can connect with SmartThings. None of this is new, but it is interesting to see all the stuff in one place. And kind of like we talked about before, I guess they kind of wanted to make the fridge a hub. I don't know how realistic that is, but everything else I think is definitely cool. Now, another thing that I'm not so sure about is they really are pushing Bixby. I mean, Samsung really wants people to use Bixby. I don't see it happening. Their whole press conference, half of it was about Bixby, and honestly, I don't think it's as good as Google Assistant, but it seems like that's what they want people to use, a proprietary system. And yeah, it does work with all this stuff. I don't know, we'll have to see if it can catch up to Google Assistant. Definitely better than Siri at least, but that's another thing that is worth mentioning. So that is the Samsung booth. We saw one cool thing, at least, the wall. That is definitely the centerpiece, at least what I think is the best part of the whole booth. One noticeable thing that was a little bit disappointing was the lack of computer technology. So all they had were a few monitors. They didn't really have many SSDs at all. They didn't have any NVMEs, none of that cool stuff that we usually get to see it like last year. So they did have a really awesome, super long monitor, wide screen, which I thought was pretty cool. But other than that, there was only a tiny little corner of computer stuff worth seeing, which was kind of disappointing, but I guess they are definitely focusing on home technology, appliances. They had some interesting air filters and stuff like that. So that was definitely their focus this year. Who knows, maybe next year they'll shift focus, but they had at least a little bit that was definitely interesting, and you can decide for yourself. So hopefully you guys found this video interesting. If you did, let me know what you think down in the comments. I'll put some other videos right here, if they're uploaded at least, from other videos I'm making at CES. Probably gonna do other booth tours like Sony, LG, maybe even the best TVs of CES, so you can take a look at those. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.